Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name's CJ Curry. This is Out of Bounds. And in today's video, we're going to be doing another NBA board breakdown over on PrizePicks, going team by team, position by position, trying to identify some of the best picks. How was your night last night on PrizePicks? I think mine went pretty well. It ended up being a profitable night thanks to a 5-pick that I landed on NBA. We saw some people in our Discord channel posting winning screenshots from both NBA and NFL. So congrats to everybody who won in our Discord channel. By the way, if you're not in the Discord yet, what are you guys doing? What are you waiting for? The link to the Discord is in the description of this video. So drop down to the description, click the link for the Discord and get your butt in there. That's where all the chit chat for PrizePicks goes down, night in, night out, and we talk about more than just PrizePicks in there. It's really a good time, and it's absolutely free to you. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video. All those things are helping the channel grow. We're on our way to our first 100 subscribers, and I have a goal today. Goal's real simple. Let's get 10 likes on this video. Do you think we can do it? I think we can. Hopefully you guys come through for me, and I hope to come through for you. So before we get started, we got a few things to talk about as far as NBA news goes. Kevin Durant, COVID protocol, he's probable to play. Kyrie Irving, he's questionable due to personal issues. LeBron James, questionable due to an ankle issue. Anthony Davis, questionable with an adductor strain. Andrew Wiggins, questionable with a foot injury. Jaylen Brown, somebody we've been liking the over on lately, he's questionable due to COVID protocol. His teammate, Jason Tatum, is doubtful due to COVID protocol. And I think that's going to wrap it up for the news. But as you can see, guys, some really big names. All of these guys that I mentioned have an impact rating of 10, meaning if they happen to sit out, then you can expect usage to go up for all the other guys around them. That means more points, more rebounds, more assists and steals and blocks and everything that gets us all the points that we want over on PrizePicks. So enough of that. We've got a pretty big board to break down today, so I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible. Let's get it started with Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin, a lot of us have been taking the over on Blake Griffin, and most nights it works out, but last game it did not work out. Blake decided to turn back the clock and have a vintage performance, something that was quite annoying if you took Blake Griffin under like I did. So Blake Griffin projected for 25 points over on Roto Grinders. If we head over to Fantasy Pros, he's projected for 33. And then RotoWire likes Blake Griffin tonight for 30. So you got 30, you got 33, and you've got Blake Griffin for 25. So big contrast there between the different sites. If we look at his recent game logs, as I mentioned, big game last game, 38.9 points. Previous game, though, only 19.7. He missed the game before that, and then the game before that one, 25.6. So for the most part here, guys, as you can see, he's been in the 20 to 25 point range. A couple of outbursts of 45 and 39, we'll call it. But, you know, most nights, I think Blake Griffin's going to be right around the 25 to 30 point range. So I don't expect these big outburst games to be commonplace for Griffin. We don't have a previous game log for Griffin against the Utah Jazz, so we can't really rely on that. But what we can rely on is looking at the totals for this game. Utah is like a 9-point favorite in this matchup, so this game could blow out, meaning a veteran like Blake Griffin could see the bench early in this one. I don't expect him to get a full run of minutes. They've got him projected for 30 minutes tonight, but if this game gets out of hand, they're going to rest Blake and his poor old knees. He's a versatile big, and Utah ranks 13th against such players, so something to keep in mind with Blake Griffin tonight. On the other side of the ball, Donovan Mitchell, 37 points is his projection tonight as they take on the Detroit Pistons. So if we head over to shooting guard, filter out the rest of the positions here, Donovan Mitchell projected for 35.5 on Roto Grinders. They like him over on Fantasy Pros to score 39, so real close to 40 there. And then finally, RotoWire likes Donovan Mitchell to score 37. So you see 35, 37, 39. A little all over the place for Donovan Mitchell, the Spider. If we look at his game logs, 50.5 monster game in his last game against the Milwaukee Bucks. Previous games, though, 27.8, 38.8, 36.3. So it's kind of been up and down, 20 to 30 in that range most nights for Mitchell. Again, as we mentioned, these two teams have not faced each other yet this season, so this will be the first time that Mitchell takes on the Pistons. But if we look again here at the matchup for a combo guard like Donovan Mitchell, the Detroit Pistons haven't been very good at guarding. So Mitchell has the opportunity here, if the game stays close and competitive, to definitely have a good game here, according to everything that we're looking at. So you just have to ask yourself, do you expect the game to stay close or not? For me, this spread right here screams blowout. I think there's definite blowout potential here. Utah's a pretty darn good team. We saw them whoop up on the Milwaukee Bucks the other night, and they should be able to take care of the Detroit Pistons, no problemo. So let's move on to the next game. We've got a lot to cover. Zach LaVine, Chicago Bulls. They're taking on the Los Angeles Clippers at 4:10 p.m. So this is the second game of the two early games. So be mindful of that when you're looking to build lineups on PrizePicks. You got two games that are early, the 3:10 and the 4:10 p.m. And then the next game doesn't start until 6:10 p.m. as the evening rolls in. So Zach LaVine projected for 41. Let's take a look and see where they have him tonight on Roto Grinders. They like him for 40.5 points. By the way, guys, we use FanDuel projections because FanDuel and PrizePicks, they score exactly the same. So that is good for us when looking at these numbers. Zach LaVine projected for 39.4. And finally, RotoWire has LaVine for 41. So in the 39 to 40, 41 point range for LaVine on most sites tonight, which seems about right. Game logs show 59 points in his last game. Just a huge game for LaVine. He has that kind of upside, scoring 58 and 50 in a couple of his previous games. His last two games here, 41.9 and 38.3. So, most nights he's probably going to be around that 40 to 45 point range, I would say is right for LaVine. This is his first matchup versus the Los Angeles Clippers. So we don't really have any previous game logs to see how well he did against the Clippers in the past. But if we look at the game total here, Clippers are big favorites, almost 9-point favorites here at home against the Bulls. So this game has blowout potential on it as well. So some of these stars like LaVine and some of the older guys, if this game gets out of hand and the Clippers run away with it early, don't expect LaVine to hit this 36-minute mark. I mean, he could get 32 minutes maybe or 30 minutes, but I don't expect 36 minutes if this game becomes a runaway. So he's a scoring wing, and the Clippers typically are not very good against scoring wings, which bodes well for Zach LaVine tonight. So something to keep in mind. Kawhi Leonard, the Claw, projected for 45 points tonight. Let's see how they like him on the various sites. They like the over on Leonard on Roto Grinders. Over on Fantasy Pros, they like the over on Leonard as well. And finally, The Wire, they like Leonard to go for 43, which would put him under. So two sites like the over on Leonard, one site likes the under on Kawhi Leonard. You would think that if this game does blow out, that Kawhi Leonard has a big hand in the blowout, getting to the blowout, But you never know. It could be a Paul George kind of night, and Kawhi could take a back seat like he has in his last couple of games. 37.6 here, 30.8 here, and then 57.6 in his game against the San Antonio Spurs 3 games ago. So Leonard, he's been a little up and down. He's been a little hard to predict, hard to trust. He's got 50 and 60 point upside any given night, but there are nights where he just puts in 30 to 40 points. So got to ask yourself, which Kawhi Leonard do we see tonight? If it's a blowout, I don't think he gets there, guys. Versatile forward like Kawhi Leonard typically can do work versus a team like the Chicago Bulls. So love the matchup for Kawhi Leonard. Love the fact that he's getting 1.31 fantasy points per minute as well. So as long as the minutes are there, he's going to produce for you. And we'll talk about Paul George, his teammate, the other half of the dynamic duo for the LA Clippers. He's projected for 42 points tonight. So if we head back over to Roto Grinders, Paul George is projected at 43 tonight on RG. On FP, they like they like Paul George for 40.7. We'll round that up to 41 just to make it a nice clean number. And then finally, the Wire, they like Paul George for 44 points. Let's look at Paul George game logs real quick. 39, 39, 52, 56, 48. So he's been in like the 40 to mid 50 range for a lot of these games. This is a situation, again, where we don't have a previous game log for this guy, so we're not quite sure how he's going to do against the Bulls. We do know that there's blowout potential. We do know that typically when there's blowouts, guys like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, they don't play 36 minutes like they're projected to play tonight. So I'm kind of leaning toward the under on a lot of these guys in the blowout. Maybe you should be too. Versatile forwards against the Bulls, they do work, as we talked about with Kawhi Leonard. So this is a game where Paul George and Kawhi Leonard could have a really good game. I just don't know if they get there for you if they're not going to play a full complement of minutes. Moving right along, though, we have Oklahoma City Thunder versus Kevin Durant. Obviously, this is Kevin Durant's former team that he gets to face off against tonight. So let's talk about KD, who is expected to play as of right now. Sounds like Kyrie's probably going to be out, but we will have Kevin Durant in the lineup. So let's switch the slate here and get to the all-day slate so we can find Kevin Durant. And there he is, projected for 42 points on Roto Grinders. Over on Fantasy Pros, they like him for 43 points. And finally, The Wire, they have Kevin Durant going for 44. So you can see 42, 43, 44. Game logs, 45.7, 47.6, and 60 burger. Big one for Kevin Durant. The only time that he's went over 47 points on the season was this night here against Atlanta, where he dropped over 60 PrizePicks points. We don't have a previous game log of Durant versus OKC this season. This is his first time facing off against them. If we look at the game totals and the spread, Brooklyn projected to be a pretty big favorite. This one doesn't scare me as much as far as blowout potential goes. KD will be probably the lead dog on this team, him and Karis LeVert. I expect them to carry most of the load as far as scoring and stuff goes for Brooklyn. So Durant being a versatile forward, looks like he has a pretty good matchup tonight against OKC. Let's just hope that, he was sitting out due to COVID protocol, that he doesn't come back with any kind of rust or fatigue's not a factor or anything like that. He's projected to play 34 minutes tonight. And when he's out on the court, he averages 1.36 fantasy points per minute, which is great. That's a great number for KD. Moving right along here, let's move to the next game. We've got the Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic versus the New York Knicks. That game tips off at 6:10 p.m. as you start to move into the evening tonight. Jokic, Joker, he's projected for 52 points. They like him for a slight under over on Roto Grinders. If we flip over to Fantasy Pros, they like him for an under as well. And then finally, RotoWire has Jokic for 55. They actually like the over on the big man. So let's see how his game logs stack up. Last game, he had 39.8 points. Game prior to that, a huge one, 60 points. An even bigger game against Minnesota for 70 points. And he dropped, 44, 46, but 52, 69. So, 68. This guy's got huge upside. We know that with Jokic. He's a triple-double threat. He's one of their primary scoring options night in and night out. If he's going to get 40 minutes, 36 minutes, 38 minutes, we love to see that. If he's going to attempt 31 shots, 20 shots, that's what we want to see from a guy like Jokic when we take him and take the over. We want him to play as many minutes as possible because when he does, he averages a whopping 1.55 fantasy points per minute. And in this matchup, him being a versatile big, this team, the New York Knicks, ranks 21st against versatile big men. So it'll be a tall task for Mitchell Robinson, for Julius Randle and company to try and slow down Nikola Jokic. The game totals and spread here, we've got Denver as a 110 favorite on the road against the New York Knicks, who are projected to score 104 points. So that's a 6-point spread, guys. Not enough to scare me off of Jokic tonight. I think this is a position where we can probably take the over on the 52 points and feel pretty good about it as long as he gets the run. On the other side of the ball, Julius Randle, we mentioned him already. 44 points is his projection tonight. Head on over to Power Forward and take a look at Randle's numbers across the industry. They like him as a slight under at 43.5 over on Roto Grinders. On the pros, they like him as a big under at 38.4 points projected. And then finally on the wire, they've got Randle at 47.44. So you can see kind of all over the place, very polarized on Julius Randle and his projections tonight. His game logs may help paint a little bit better picture on Randle's recent performances. 43.9 in his last game, 54, 57, 39, 35, 52, 57, 36, 36. So Randle is typically at about a 35-point floor, we'll call it. But the ceiling is tremendous, getting all the way up to 57 points for his ceiling. So somewhere between 35 and 57 is what we can expect from Julius Randle on any given night. He usually produces. He's been playing a ton of minutes. They've got him projected to play 38 minutes tonight, which we love. He's a versatile big who tend to struggle against the Denver Nuggets, when going up against them. So Denver Nuggets good at defending versatile bigs, but he does put up 1.2 fantasy points per minute. So, 38 minutes, 1.2 fantasy points per minute. We love that. If the game stays close, Julius Randle has a chance to get there. Not an easy matchup, but he has a chance to get there. I think we'll move on from this game. There's a few other guys that you can possibly look at here. Jamal Murray would be one. RJ Barrett would be the other. I don't really like to target the scrubs. Sorry, Will Barton. I didn't mean to call you a scrub, but you and Mitchell Robinson, the lesser known guys, we usually like to try and maybe fade those guys. Sometimes there's an edge, but most of the time, I just ain't clicking the name. So, Bam Adebayo, Miami Heat center, facing off against the Boston Celtics. How many times are we going to see the Heat and Celtics? I feel like we've seen them play each other a lot lately. Maybe it's just me, but anyway, that game tips off at 7:10 p.m. and Bam is projected for 41 points at the moment on PrizePicks. If we look at his projections on various sites here, they like the under on Roto Grinders. On Fantasy Pros, they've got Bam going for 38.4. That's another under for Bam. Can we make it 3 unders on Bam? Yes, we can. They like him at 40 points over on RotoWire. Now let's open up the game logs and see why all these sites like the under on Bam. Well, for good reason. He's kind of been an up or down guy. He's hard to project. So 33 here, 43, 34, 44, 53, 26, 30, and 40. So a lot of games in there where he's in the low 40s, but even into the 30s and 20s in some cases. We do have a previous game log here against Boston where he was able to put up 43.6 points in just over 33 minutes out on the court. So that's something to keep in mind. But another thing to keep in mind is, as we talked about at the top of the show, Boston's going to be potentially shorthanded. Maybe no Jason Tatum, maybe no Jaylen Brown. So will this game stay close? That's a good question. Right now, they've got Miami as 7.5-point road favorites. This game could get out of hand, guys. I think it could get out of hand. If you don't have Tatum and Jaylen Brown, two of your higher usage players, two of your better players in the lineup, how in the world are you going to keep up with the Miami Heat? It's going to be tough. Bam is considered a versatile big, and the Boston Celtics are typically pretty tough against versatile bigs, and this will be a back-to-back for Big Bam tonight. So moving on to the Boston Celtics side of things, with those other guys out, Tatum and Brown, Marcus Smart might be a candidate to step up in their absence. He's projected for 34 points right now for the Boston Celtics. Let's take a look at where he's projected on some of these other sites. They've got a point guard here over on FanDuel. 32.28 is his projection. And if we go over to Fantasy Pros, Marcus Smart projected for 28.2, so quite a bit under on Fantasy Pros for Smart. And then finally, The Wire, they've got him at 33 points. Let's look at his game logs real quick. These are going to be a little bit misleading just because we don't have game logs where we can say like, well, in this game, without Tatum and Brown. Here's how Smart performed. Can't really do that here, so we have to kind of remember that when we look at these game logs. These numbers like 29, 25, 36, 35, 32, I expect them to be up tonight for Marcus Smart, as he'll have to take on more of the scoring workload, more of the usage, more of the everything, right, without Tatum and Brown. Somebody's going to have to soak up all of that leftover production. So I expect that guy to be Marcus Smart. He's a combo guard, and typically the Miami Heat do a pretty decent job at guarding combo guards. So keep that in mind, guys, when you pick Marcus Smart tonight, who's projected for 34. Carrying on here, let's go to the next game, the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Houston Rockets. This game features a ton of big names, but there are a couple guys for the Lakers, as we mentioned, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, who availability is in doubt. So keep that in mind when you take these guys. You know, if they do play and this game seems to be getting away from either team, then you can expect somebody like Anthony Davis, who's already questionable coming into the game, to probably sit if this game turns into a blowout. Let's see what AD's looking like across the board here today. They've got him at 45.2, so pretty much on the money for Anthony Davis. 55, way over, as Fantasy Pros has been throughout the season. We've seen them just absolutely love Anthony Davis, and most nights we do love Anthony Davis. But this season, you know, they've got a lot of help now with Schroeder and Harrell and, you know, guys like that. So Anthony Davis and LeBron James, they haven't been asked to do nearly as much as they did last season. So projected for 44, we'll call it, over on RotoWire. Opening up the game logs for AD, 50 in his last game, 58, 44, 59, 39, 32, 49, 25. So he's got some games in there where they were like, you know, complete stinkers, complete duds, but he's also got some real big games in there. 59, 58. So coming up to his ceiling of about 60 points, looks to be his ceiling so far this season. His floor looks to be right around the 30-point mark, I would call it. So, one quick thing. Does he have a previous game log against Houston? Does not. First game against Houston. So this will be the first look we get of AD against the Houston Rockets. He's a versatile big. The Rockets do a pretty decent job at guarding against versatile bigs. And then this game has a total of 113.5 for the Lakers, and the Rockets are the underdogs here at home for 110.5. So it's expected to stay close if these guys do play. It looks like it's going to be a competitive game, and that AD should hit this 34-minute mark, or maybe even more if he's healthy and good to go. So James Harden, somebody who we saw at the start of the season projected up in that upper 50-point range, and it made a little sense at the time with no DeMarcus Cousins, with no John Wall. It was really just the James Harden show, but those guys have been back in the lineup. James Harden's projections have slowly started to drop each and every game, getting lower and lower. They seem to be a little reluctant to drop him under 50, so let's see how they like him across the industry tonight. Harden projected for 49.7, so a very, very, very slight under over on Roto Grinders. On Fantasy Pros, they like the over, quite a big over there, 4.6 points over on James Harden for Fantasy Pros. And then finally, RotoWire likes him as a big under. So again, this is another situation where you have, you know, a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and these sites just can't seem to get on the same page for James Harden. So let's see if his game logs help us figure out the puzzle that has been James Harden of late. 41.5 points here, 42.8 points here, and 43 points. So as you can see, guys, the projection of 50 still seems like it might be a little bit high. I mean, I understand you've got John Wall, you've got DeMarcus Cousins, you've got Christian Wood, but this is very unlike the beard, James Harden, 43, 42, 41. This is the guy that, last year was putting up 60 and 70 a night like it was nobody's business. So to see him priced at, or projected at 50 points, and then to look at his game logs and see, well, even 50 seems like it's maybe a little too high. got a feel for Harden. Maybe he gets a trade. Maybe he's trying to tank. Maybe he wants out of there. Maybe this is his way of just like, hey, trade me. I don't want to be here anymore. Who knows? But I think I'm liking the under on James Harden. He's a combo guard facing off against the Lakers. The Lakers typically do a pretty good job at defending combo guards. So I don't know, guys. I don't know about James Harden. I think I'm taking the under. You tell me, though. LeBron James. We saw him in the injury report to start the video. He's projected for 48 tonight. I had him the other night. Anthony Davis was out. I liked LeBron for the over. I had a lot of money on LeBron James. He did not produce like a king should. So hopefully, if he plays tonight and you take him, he comes through for you. They like the under on him today at Roto Grinders, 45.7 points. Over on Fantasy Pros, 53.7. They've been pretty high on LeBron and AD all year long. So take that for what you will. And then finally, they like the big under on LeBron James. They're about 8 points under his PrizePicks projection of 48. Let's open the game logs. He finished last game 42.9, and that was against Chicago. Game prior to that, 48 points against the San Antonio Spurs. 50 here against Memphis, 50 against Memphis, 56. So I liked the over the other night on LeBron because it looked like he was starting to find his groove. It looked like he was starting to figure it out and gel with this team. 50, 50, 50, right? 48 even. But I don't know, man. I don't know. When Anthony Davis sits and you can only muster up, barely 43 points, it makes me a little skeptical here. This game is projected to stay close, which is a good thing for LeBron. Versatile forwards. Houston's like middle of the pack at defending guys like LeBron. So I will let you guys try to figure out the puzzle that has been LeBron James. 48 seems pretty reasonable. I don't think that there's like a great big edge to have here, but if the Lakers are 100% and they're fully loaded, I kind of want to take the under on LeBron. Yeah. Christian Wood, other side of the ball here. We haven't talked a lot about Christian Wood on the channel. Let's do it right now, real quick. Christian Wood, he's projected for 38 on Roto Grinders. Fantasy Pros likes Christian Wood for 35, and Roto Wire likes Christian Wood for 39.95. We'll round that up to 40. Opening up his game logs. He did miss a game the other night, but his last game, 48 points. Big game for Christian Wood. As we mentioned, he missed his last game prior to that. 34.4, 53, 47, 40, 51. So this guy is consistently a 40 to 50 point threat on any given night. So his projection of 38 seems a bit light in my eyes. I like the over on Christian Wood. And the matchup here, not one that we're going to shy away from for versatile bigs. The Lakers haven't been very good at defending that type of player. But let's move on to another game here. We could go on and on all night with all the stars in that Rockets and Lakers game, but we got a few more games to cover, so I want to get there for you. DeMar DeRozan, going to be on a back-to-back tonight against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I mentioned in yesterday's video, I like the over on DeRozan. He's having a fantastic season. I think PrizePicks finally is starting to catch on DeRozan. They've had him projected at like the upper 30-point range. I've just been clicking the over on DeMar DeRozan and making bank. So let's see where he's projected on some of these other sites tonight. 42 might be a little rich. Let's find out. They like the under on DeMar DeRozan at 40. The guys at Fantasy Pros like DeRozan for 41. And finally, DeMar DeRozan 39.26. So that would put him under as well. That's 3 sites in a row who like the under on DeMar DeRozan. But let's look at the upside that this guy possesses. 50.5 in his last game, 44.8 here. Bit of a downer, 22. Another downer at 35, but 47, 42, 27, 49, 57. So most of the time, the guy's putting up 40 plus fantasy points on any given night. This is his second matchup against Minnesota. So this is a back-to-back against Minnesota. And you see what he did his last game versus the T-Wolves, 50.5 points. So maybe 42 is just not enough. Maybe 42 is light for DeMar DeRozan. I know a lot of the sites have him under, but he's a scoring wing. He gets a very advantageous matchup here against the T-Wolves. He is on a back-to-back 3 nights and 4 games. Can fatigue play a factor? Maybe. Something to consider. But this game is projected to stay close. There's only about a 2.5 point spread here. So I'm going to keep clicking and keep going with the over on DeMar DeRozan. And, until he proves me wrong, I think he can get there again in this rematch. So the other side of the ball, we've talked a lot about D'Angelo Russell, I feel like. So let's talk Malik Beasley, a guy that we haven't mentioned a whole lot. He's probably the second best option behind D'Lo on the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's, without Karl Anthony Towns in the lineup, of course. Malik Beasley projected for 29 tonight. Let's see where he's at on the various sites. I guess they have him probably listed as small forward if he's not under shooting guard. Where is he? Oh, wow. He's just way down here. 30. Let's go ahead and sort this by points. Maybe that'll make it easier. He's projected for 30. Sorry for the delay, guys. Projected for 30 on Roto Grinders. Over on Fantasy Pros, they only have him at 23. So that's quite a big difference and big under for Beasley. And then finally, Roto Wire has him at 30. So 2 of the sites have him right around 30. One of them has him as a big under. Let's look at his game logs real quick. 34.8 in his last one. Previous 2, 19.8 and 27.2. 2 down games for him. 48 here. But if you look at his game logs, the overwhelming majority are in the 20 to mid 20 point range. So I think that's about where we can expect him to be. So his projection tonight of 29 may be a little bit too high. In this case, I'm probably going to go under on Beasley. He did have a good game against San Antonio, the last one. I mean, if you think he repeats that, well then take the over. But I'm not a big fan of Beasley, and I don't believe in him. Combo guards against the Spurs, they rank 13th in the league against combo guards. So moving on to more exciting and interesting names. Pascal Siakam. What an interesting name indeed. He's projected for 36 points tonight for the Toronto Raptors as they face the Golden State Warriors at 8:40 p.m. Siakam, I took the over on him the other night with Kyle Lowry missing the game, and it paid off dividends for me. Let's see if tonight is more of the same. Can we take the over again on Siakam? 35.87 is his projection on Roto Grinders. Over on Fantasy Pros, they love the over on Siakam. 43.8 points. Huge over for him there. And finally, Roto Wire has Siakam at 37.85. So at 36, that might be a little light. They might need to up that projection for Pascal Siakam. Let's look at his game logs. 49.8 in his last one, 52 in the game prior to that, and then 35.7 and 16. So, I don't know, 30, 40 on any given night. Definitely, possible with this guy. This is his first game against Golden State. We don't have anything to match up on. It looks like this game is expected to stay relatively close here. 118 for Toronto, 115 for Golden State. 3-point spread for this game. He's a versatile forward, and it looks like versatile forwards typically eat against the Golden State Warriors. So gotta love that for Pascal Siakam. I think I'm leaning toward the over on him in this matchup. Steph Curry, the next guy on the board. From one Curry to another. Steph, you've been playing really well lately. Let's see if 49 is a possibility for you tonight across the industry. They like him as a pretty big under, I would say, on Roto Grinders at 46.93. We'll round that up to 47, so that puts him 2 points under his projection on PrizePicks. 45 on Fantasy Pros. That's quite a big under for Steph there. And finally, they're under on Steph as well. So that's 3 guys, 3 sites that are under on Steph Curry. Let's look and see what Wendell is projected for here in his last few games. 63.9, 28.3, 50.8, 69. So, I mean, he's had some monster games. As I said, he's playing much, much better than he did to start the season. 50, 60, not out of the realm of possibility here for Steph Curry. Does not have a previous game log against Toronto. This will be his first time seeing them. Game, as we mentioned, is projected to stay close. He's projected to get 35 minutes in this game. He's considered to be a combo guard. Now, I will tell you that against combo guards, the Toronto Raptors are number 1 in the league. So if you think that the combination of Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet and company can slow down Steph Curry, well, maybe they do. 1.42 fantasy points per minute for Curry, though. So what do you guys think? I mean, that's huge, right? There's nobody else on the board tonight at point guard except for Kyrie Irving, who even comes close to his projection of 1.42 fantasy points per minute. So I love that for Steph Curry. Next up on the list, let's talk Fred VanVleet. This guy's been on fire. Him and CJ McCollum have been guys that keep getting projected here on PrizePicks right around that 36 to 38 point mark, and I just don't think it's enough. And I'm wondering when PrizePicks is going to finally realize that these guys should be up at like 40. 40 would be a really tough decision for me. 38, though, on a guy like Fred VanVleet, pretty easy for me to pick the over. But let's just see how the other sites match up. Fred VanVleet over on Roto Grinders. He must be a point guard, even though he's more like a shooting guard in real life. Anyways, they like him for about 41, which sounds right. 38 over on Fantasy Pros. RotoWire has him at 39.89. So, I mean, guys, I think the 38's too light here for VanVleet, and I think you'll see why I'm saying that. If you look at his game logs here, 48. Okay, 36, a little bit of a down game, but that, he was still within that 38-point range. Like one shot more goes down for him, boom, he's over 38, right? So 53, 50, 46. Okay, this one was a bit of a down game, 30, and then 46, and then 25 in his first game of the season. But the guy is crushing. He's crushing 38, night in, night out. He's projected to get 36 minutes. He's projected to stay close in this game with Golden State. Doesn't look like there's going to be a blowout. I love the total. They're projected to score 118 points as a team tonight. Tons of shots should be going up. Golden State does rank 6th against combo guards. I'm not really concerned here. I haven't seen anyone who's shown any sign of life of stopping a guy like Fred VanVleet on a given night. So the stars have aligned, guys. I think Fred VanVleet is my lock of the night. I know what you're going to say. You're probably thinking it. I'm thinking it too. Your last couple of locks, CJ, they haven't been good. They haven't been coming through. They've been falling short. I know. I've been playing them too, though, guys. And when they fall short for you, they fall short for me too. And it hurts. I get it. When I say lock, you think 100% chance of success. Let's hope this one works out. Fred VanVleet. I'm doing it. All the way back up to the top. Over. That's my lock of the night. Play it if you want. If you don't play it, I ain't mad at you. But I'm playing Fred VanVleet, and he is my lock, no matter what you say. With that being said, guys, that's the end of today's video. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Sorry if these videos are long, but I try to pack it with as many guys, as much information, as much value as possible so that you guys, when you go and you pick your guys on PrizePicks and you're slapping your money down and you're hoping to win some money, I want you guys to feel confident. I want you guys to feel good about your PrizePicks lineups. So that's why we go the extra mile here. That's why it takes a few extra minutes or several extra minutes or 10s or 20s of extra minutes, because we want it to be as good as possible and get you the best information we can. So with that being said, thanks for hanging in there with me. I appreciate all that you guys do. Remember, today's goal, 10 likes on the video. Of course, if you're watching this for the first time, subscribe, hit the notification bell, get down in the comments. Let me know who you're liking tonight. Who's your lock of the night? Maybe my lock doesn't work out, but maybe yours does. Who is he? Is he going over? Is he going under? Tell me. I'm looking for good plays too. You're not the only one. Share the video, as always, with the entire world. And let's go make some money. Peace.